The second domain is community living, which is obviously where you live, but also how you live, what kind of housing you've chosen, whether the home is accessible to you and meets your needs. How do you get around from your home to other places? What about the neighborhood you live in? Is it safe? Does it have the amenities you want? And are you able to access community? So within community living, we've got three subdomains: your living options, your transportation, and then your neighborhood and community. So with living options, we want to make sure people understand what those housing options are, and not just the type of house you live in, but the supports that are available to you, whether you are able to live without any paid support, whether you're going to live with someone that you share a home with, whether you're going to get some support part-time to help with different things. Those are all things that are important. How do I make the home as accessible as possible for me? That doesn't just mean that it's got a roll-in shower or wide doorways. For me, having an accessible house also means having a key-coded door, so I don't have to find a key every time I come in. It can mean having an Alexa that reminds me to do certain things. So there's a lot of things that we can think about when we're looking at universal design and home modifications and environmental technology. Does our home meet our needs? What are the types of living expenses I'm going to have? And do I have the resources to pay for those? And then housing stability and aging in place. Am I in a home that's going to meet my needs over the lifespan? What are the things that I need to consider as I move forward? Do I need to perhaps start looking at the fact that I've got steep stairs in my house, or maybe they're not really going to be ideal for me? Maybe I've been living in a place that's, kind of rural, and I don't have access to the places I want to go. So thinking through that, which leads us into transportation. Do I have accessible and affordable transportation to get where I need to go? What's the walkability in my neighborhood? That's a really cool thing that AARP offers now, is that you can drop in a zip code and it'll tell you how walkable it is to get to local businesses, stores, um, libraries, hospitals. So that's good to know. How close am I to mass transit lines and stations? If I'm going to use public transportation, will I be able to get to it? And if I'm driving, do I have the vehicle modifications and assistive technology that I need? Is my car going to provide me with, for me now, safety features like a backup camera and a lane, drifting out of your lane kind of alert? Those are things that are really important to me now for my own safety, to be sure that I'm in place. And then possibly a driving education or a driver's license. Finally, neighborhood and community. What's in the neighborhood that I'm in? Am I thinking about moving to a place that's a food desert where I can't stop and get milk or bread on the way home? How close would I be to my job? How close would I be to my friends and family? So not just your amenities, but also the people that you want to be by. What does the community hold as far as parks and walking trails and other places in nature that I can enjoy and be a part of? What's the Wi-Fi like? That's become a big deal. I pulled into my driveway yesterday and suddenly everything shut off. Not cool. I want to be in an accessible space where I can use the internet when I need to. What are the environmental conditions like? Does it tend to flood? Am I in a position where I could be in an area where there's lots and lots of traffic? Maybe that's not good for me. And then finally, have I gone around and mapped the new neighborhood? Have I looked at what the vibe of the neighbors are like? Does it seem to be a welcoming community? Have I looked at the crime statistics? What is in that neighborhood and how are people getting around? So all things that can be important around community living.